What's going on, everybody? I'm here to do a review for the movie They Cloned Tyrone, which premiered on Netflix on July 21st, 2023. And I'm gonna be quite honest with y'all. This was not a movie that was really on my radar like that until I saw the second trailer, and I said, you know what? This movie actually looks pretty interesting. And I'll understand some people will probably have looked at that trailer at face value and was like, oh, it's gonna be another one of those stereotypical black type of films. Actually, it's really not. Does it have some stereotypes in there? Of course, but the story literally eclipses all of that, and it's pretty much talking on points that many of us, if you put on that tinfoil kufi, have been saying for a very long time. And it's amazing how they've actually put the story together. So basically what this movie is about is an individual by the name of Fontaine, played by John Boyega. He lives in this rundown neighborhood where he is a drug dealer, basically trying to survive. He lives with his mother, making sure that she's taken care of and whatnot. And he's just trying to live each day sort of in a routine. Wake up, does his thing, go home, wake up, does his thing, go home. It's pretty much a routine type of thing. And then all of a sudden one day, stuff just kind of turns for the worse for him, or so he feels that it does. He also is running alongside this individual by the name of Slick, played by Jamie Foxx, who is a pimp in the neighborhood. He pretty much does what a pimp does. He has a whole line of prostitutes that he works with, put them on the street, does what he does, collects his money, and he works alongside with Fontaine as well, because they pretty much all work together. And one of his main prostitutes that he works with is a woman by the name of Yo-Yo, played by Teyonah Parris. And basically she's doing this because she really wants to be like a journalist or some type of a writer for the Post, for the New York Post. That's really what she wants to do, but she does what she has to do in order to get by. So a lot of them are pretty much the victims of their own circumstances. And then all of a sudden, pretty much one day, Fontaine goes to a motel to get some money from Slick, and then something happens in which Fontaine gets shot to death, or so he thinks, or so we believe. Then all of a sudden, he just wakes up, and I'm sitting here saying to myself, how did he survive that? Because he definitely should have died from them circumstances. But then it pretty much turns out like, okay, something doesn't seem right, because he should be dead. And Slick basically was like, wait a minute, you should be gone. There's no way that you could possibly still be alive. Then all of a sudden it leads them on this journey where they find this random black truck that Fontaine ended up seeing snatch somebody up. We don't know why this truck snatched them up, but it was just a random black truck that just drove through, picked them up, and drove right away. Leads them to this home. This home has an elevator. Now, the suspicions will definitely rise there. What kind of a home that looks as run down as the one that's in this movie have this very state-of-the-art looking elevator in it? They take the elevator down, go into this lab, and then all of a sudden they start seeing all these beakers and all these science equipment everywhere. And then that's when they discover that they are doing experiments on basically black people, and basically snatching black people up from these areas and cloning them, and then using mind control. And that's something a lot of people have always been saying for so many years. A lot of people who are into conspiracies about mind control, especially when it comes to black people. And it's crazy how they actually did it, because they put it in products and things that black people tend to use every single day or consume, such as in the food, in the hair products, even down to the music that is being consumed. There was one scene in the movie that literally blew my mind when they did it, because basically you had the three main characters come from inside of the lab into where the strip club was at, or basically a bar. And then all of a sudden the DJ starts switching the music because he got some kind of message in his earpiece, because he's working with the people to switch the music up. And then they switch the music up, and all of a sudden the people go from like dancing, like really dancing hard, to all of a sudden they get mellowed out, and it's almost like it put them into a trance. And then basically Yo-Yo was saying, plug your ears, because whatever they're playing in the music is hypnotizing the people, and that's exactly what it was doing. So they end up leaving out of the club, and all of a sudden the DJ says, how does it feel, in so many words, how does it feel to be in this trance, you know, how to be hypnotized. And then he said the words mind control. And then all of a sudden the three main characters run out of the bar, get into a car and start driving away. And out behind them comes everybody who was in the club chasing after them like it was World War Z to chase them down. And it was just crazy how that ended up happening. Another wild scene for me, or wild part for this movie for me, was inside of the church. And shout out, they got David Alan Grier in here. I immediately, when I saw David Alan Grier, I said Reverend Leon Lonnie Love. For those of y'all who are of a certain age, know exactly who that character is. That is a character that he played on Martin on a couple of episodes. He was basically a scammy type preacher, like one of them pastor pimps that you kind of often hear about and see these evangelists and whatnot. And they had him playing a preacher, and they was inside of a church. And all of a sudden, the people in there are just like worshiping, praising and whatnot. And then when I knew something was taking a turn for the worse was when they went from playing gospel type music to playing some type of music you expect to hear in a club. It turned into like an R&B session. It was kind of crazy how it happened. And then what I noticed is that it was the quote unquote first Sunday. And you know, on first Sunday, they always have the communion cups, and in that cup is like a purple drink. Well, it turns out, again, going back to consumption, that they have something called grape drink. So they literally threw the little stereotypical tropes in there, even down to that. And when the people consume it, that's how they were able to control their minds, even through that. Even down to a part in this, it was a scene in the movie with when the women went inside of the hair salon, you know, black women getting their hair done and, you know, putting what we call the creamy crack or the perm in their hair. And it was a purple substance. It was like a purple consistency. And the woman was sitting there literally in the chair talking to her stylist about her problems and her issues going on with her relationship, and stressing out while in the chair getting her hair done. And when the stylist was putting the product in her hair, all of a sudden the woman just kind of stopped talking about her problems and began to relax. So it's kind of crazy how all of that just kind of really happened and culminized of different things. So basically the premise is like, now they have to figure out a way to stop the mind control from actually happening and get to the source before it reaches critical mass consumption, where it goes from just beyond this one location to now expansion to various other places around the establishment as far as across the country. And the way that they broke it down, it's like, whoa. As a matter of fact, I was literally about 20 minutes left into the movie and I had to stop it right there just to come make this review, because I got so excited that I was like, let me get all of this out right now while the thoughts are still in my head. So technically I'm making this review with still like 20 minutes left in the movie. So I don't even know what's going to happen at the end. I know that's kind of premature of me to actually do, but I just couldn't help it. Like, I pretty much get the gist of it now. I don't know how the movie is going to end by the time like of me making this review, but just, I'm telling y'all right now, this movie was pure genius. I don't know if Rob is watching this review right now, but Rob, if you're out there listening, this movie is right up your alley. I would hope that you watch this movie and actually do like a review yourself on your channel, because I'm interested to see what you have to say about this. This movie is really good, well casted, well acted. It kind of reminds me if you took a blaxploitation film of the 70s and threw it into present day 2023, even down to the music that they were using. They were playing songs from like the 70s, the 80s, I think even the 90s. So it felt like he was even going on a time tunnel with the with the music, even down to the way that some of the characters dress. Because when I first saw the trailer, I'm thinking, is this movie taking place back in the day? But then I looked at it some more and I was like, I don't know. They look kind of modern, but I wasn't sure. But some of the characters look like they came out of the 70s, like Jamie Foxx's character. He kind of reminded me of like a 70s, maybe 80-ish type of role. John Boyega was definitely more present day. Teyonah Parris's character kind of was like an 80s type. She kind of reminded me of the 80s, maybe even the 90s type of thing. But I like how they did that. If you were familiar with the blaxploitation era, you will see that a lot in this movie. But all in all, this movie was actually pretty good. I was very thoroughly impressed, and I'm glad I actually have a chance to watch it. But I'm gonna go ahead now and end the review and go knock out these last 20 minutes. Just know that, like I said, I pretty much already got the gist of the movie up to this point, but I just got too excited to, you know, come on here and bring this review to y'all. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Will this be a movie that you will check out or not? It's up to you. Again, it is on Netflix. So for those of you who have Netflix, it's just very easy. access for you to go and consume it. Be safe and be one.